This clumsily titled science fiction action film from Matt Reeves is the first sequel to the 2011 Planet of the Apes reboot, and the 8th film in that franchise overall. Following its July 11, 2014 release, this $170 million adventure was a big success, scoring over $600 million at the box office. 10 years after the events of Rise, a deadly disease has wiped out most of mankind, leaving humans and super-intelligent apes on equal footing. But uneasy relations between the two groups eventually leads to war. Motion capture extraordinaire Andy Serkis returns in the lead role as Caesar, the highly intelligent leader of the apes. Having built a community of talking, family-oriented primates, Serkis is confronted with the responsibilities of diplomacy as he advises his people to remain peaceful and patient, signing, "If we go to war, we could lose all we've built," before finishing his thought out loud by softly saying, "Home, family, future." As the CGI character, he is able to effortlessly bring an emotional and human performance to a decidedly non-human character. Most of this is accomplished with a furrow of his brow or with his menacing green eyes. Unfortunately, however, he's the only cast member from the last installment to return here, and while the original characters, including James Franco, are referenced, their presence here is definitely missed. Jason Clarke, Gary Oldman, and Keri Russell all portray hopeful but cautious humans who have survived horrible conditions, only to reluctantly be thrust into a war with their violent primate counterparts. We're introduced to this growing conflict when a scout party unwittingly stumbles into ape territory, sparking an extremely tense standoff, both sides on a hair trigger.
Hey! 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 What you doing? I'll kill you! Don't, Caesar, no! No. Said no. Guns.
Meanwhile, Toby, Kebbell, and Judy Greer provide the voice and motion capture likenesses of two other apes that anchor the drama on screen with a surprisingly effective emotional depth. The tension that builds between these two groups is the entire driving force of the expertly paced 131-minute film, which should leave most audiences breathless as it unravels. The taller 16:9 frame brilliantly captures the lush forest areas of the American Northwest, as well as the haunting desolation of a ruined San Francisco. The visual effects from Peter Jackson's Weta Digital might be their best yet, perfectly blending the authentic locations and people with digital creatures that are just as lifelike. The PG-13 rated picture doesn't have many twists or surprises, but the final climactic battle between apes, humans, and other apes is a true spectacle to behold, and one of the more exciting and well-executed action sequences in recent memory. An extended POV shot that's fixed to a mounted tank laying waste to enemy forces as bullets and fires light up the battlefield is a particular highlight. Michael Giacchino's score provides a deep and drum-like rhythm that further emphasizes the seriousness of the realistic narrative. Although we're left with a satisfying conclusion, some plot threads are appropriately left unresolved, as a third film was already slated for release in 2016. The question remains as to whether or not this rebooted franchise will come full circle with the images and stories we saw in the 1968 original, but I for one am eager to find out. Covering themes of trust, community, and betrayal, this is a touching story mixed with captivating and exciting action. An excellent summer blockbuster I can't wait to watch again. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is the best apes yet, but let's see what you had to say about it in the YouTube comments. With outstanding visuals and a gripping story, we both agreed this was a worthy successor to the 2011 remake and an awesome film.